What's up, Knicks fans? Welcome back to my channel where I talk about New York Knicks basketball. I was currently working on another video related to the Knicks until I saw a report released on Friday that heavily involves our team. According to Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, Donte DiVincenzo is being viewed as a possible trade candidate for several contending teams around the league, sources said. While the Timberwolves value DiVincenzo's skill set, the 27-year-old combo guard was not thrilled with the idea of coming off the bench after being traded. Right now, there are no indications that the Timberwolves will want to move their newly acquired guard. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen a report like this be said about DiVincenzo. For those who recall, after the Cat trade went down, it was reported that DiVincenzo wasn't happy heading into the season with the New York Knicks after the Bridges trade because he was going to be coming off the bench. In his return to MSG when they had that preseason game, he spoke with reporters, said that those reports weren't true. That's not how he really felt, and it was just the media narrative that was pushing it. But obviously, why would he admit that if that is really how he felt? So you never really know if these reports are true or not. But if the Timberwolves do not want to move forward with DiVincenzo, is it possible for him to come back to New York? I want to talk about it in today's video. There is a way for this to become possible, and that's with the Timberwolves trading DiVincenzo in the offseason or releasing him. The Knicks are unable to make a trade this season because of this stupid rule that doesn't allow us to trade back a player in the same league year. So if Minnesota is looking to trade him before the deadline, before the season's over, then the Knicks really have no chance of negotiating or even having a shot at getting DiVincenzo back. I don't see a world personally where they release him, considering it's possible that Julius Randle can walk in the offseason. I don't think the Timberwolves would have just traded Cat for nothing, so if they're going to just let Randle go, then there's no way they're just going to do the same thing with DiVincenzo. They want to probably get something out of him because he does have a pretty good contract and they could probably make some moves with that. And we're not even the only fan base that would want to reunite with him because the Warriors, with their latest injury of DeAnthony Melton, they could use him. The Bucks had a slow start to the season. They can use him. A lot of teams in general can really use Devo on their team. So it's not going to be easy for the Knicks to get him back. The possibilities, as I said, is a trade after the season concludes or a release. Talking about the trade here, there's not really many pieces that the Knicks could offer to get DiVincenzo in return, aside from maybe Miles McBride. But would we really want to trade McBride for DiVincenzo? He's a younger player, a better defender, and he's on a cheap contract. I personally wouldn't hate the move, but McBride is playing better than DiVincenzo this season, so it isn't really fair in my opinion to heavily favor that idea. The Knicks still have around at most 5 first-round picks until 2030, but some might become second-round picks due to some protections. So it's hard to really tell and get a good idea of how many first-round picks the Knicks are working with after they traded 5 of them for Mikal Bridges, but it would likely be those picks that would get the deal done. Even then, there are still probably 10 better offers that other teams can make in order to get a talent like DiVincenzo. But then you deal with the possibility of them releasing him, which I don't know, can that happen? If Timberwolves are interested in simply getting out of his contract to make moves for other players, is it as easy as just releasing him? That sounds too good to be true, but if so, are we even sure that DiVincenzo would want to come back? Yes, he's friends with the Nova Boys. Yes, he had a great season last year, his best season. Let me make that very clear. But it wouldn't surprise me if he feels some type of way towards the organization after they traded him following a really good year from him. Then, of course, we saw him throw shots that would look like it was Tom Thibodeau. Then he got into it with Rick Brunson. So who knows if there's something bigger going on there? Who knows if they're able to separate their differences and come together for a return if he comes back to New York. But for the Timberwolves to just release Donte DiVincenzo, give him his own choice really to where he wants to go, that doesn't really sound too realistic, although it's probably the best shot we have at getting him back. It's definitely more realistic that they trade DiVincenzo, whether this report is for real or not, because of the complications going on in that Timberwolves locker room. A lot of y'all might have already seen Edwards and Gobert, which is pretty funny because it's Julius Randle who pretty much led that to happening. This man waved Rudy off in the paint even though he had a mismatch on him, causing him to get frustrated, resulted in an offensive 3-second violation, and as we saw, things got heated. Now, although this has nothing to do with DiVincenzo, it is the image that the Timberwolves have paid in for themselves. They've had a pretty bad start to the season. It seems like there's trouble brewing in that locker room, and it wouldn't be too outlandish to say that the Timberwolves will want to make some changes before it's too late and their championship window closes. There isn't much confidence that with the roster they have right now, they can get back to where they were last season. there's not much confidence that Randle is a better option than Cat. So it wouldn't be too crazy to say that they're going to use DiVincenzo to improve their roster. And DiVincenzo hasn't been playing nearly as great as he was with the Knicks. I mean, he's had a massive drop off from his shooting percentage, points per game, all of that statistic kind of stuff. But that 1 year shows how great he can be if in the right system, which is obviously why a lot of teams would want him, right? The reason why he was so good in New York, the reason why he got a shine was because of Grimes' injury that led him to become a starter. And obviously, once we saw how great he was in the starting lineup, how much it improved the team, Thibs obviously kept it that way, and it very much paid off. He had a bunch of special moments throughout the regular season, as we can all recall, and especially in the playoffs. Some may say that his massive leap was due to playing alongside Brunson and Hart, but I say it was more because of the fit he had on this team. He hustled, he made his shots, he perfectly reflected the heart it takes to play in New York. The Knicks, of course, probably viewed DiVincenzo coming back next season, but obviously if it was him that was holding up the Cat deal, then they were going to do whatever it took to get Cat in New York. If he was still on this team, he likely would probably be ahead of Hart in the starting lineup. But if Mitch returns, he would just be another guard off the bench. So I don't really know how much he would fit on this newly formed Knicks team. With everything said, I think it is very unlikely that Donte DiVincenzo returns to the Knicks by next season. And if anything, they probably have to wait until 2026 or 2027 when his contract is expiring. And that most likely isn't with the Timberwolves, most likely is with another team. As much as I think Knicks fans would love to have DiVincenzo back, me included, odds are just not in our favor to acquire him back. If you have any thoughts on this rumor, please feel free to let me know in the comment section. Please share your opinion. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video. And if you love Knicks content, please consider subscribing. This is just my 4th video. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. If you stayed until the very end, have a wonderful day, and let's go Knicks.